Before I turned 21, I put $2.5 million in my pocket through sales, and I have a severe stutter. And I'm not going to edit out a single portion of this video because that's the whole point. And my name's Anthony Serino, and I'm taking you back to when I was 19 years old. Without a degree, without connections, and without a smooth delivery in my speech. And I'm going to show you guys exactly how I got here, because if I can do it, your excuse does not hold up. So we're gonna go back to when I was 19 years old. And like I said, I have a severe stutter. And by the time I turned 21, I sold over $12 million in revenue. And I did it again through door-to-door sales with the stutter. But we're gonna go back to when I was 19. When I was 19 years old, I graduated high school. And at that time, I had a lot of I was getting a lot of attention for sports, particularly football. And football, I had a Division I offer to go play at the University of Dayton, Ohio. Not a big school, not a small school, but I was also getting a ton of interest from Ivy League schools because I had great grades. But I was the kid in school that didn't talk to anyone, didn't raise my hand. I didn't even do speeches or presentations because of my speech. Now, you might say, Anthony, you're not stuttering that much right now. And that's because I have fully confronted the stutter through door-to-door sales, and it's gotten a lot better. It was much worse, and it's definitely improved. But that's who I was when I was in high school. You can ask anybody who grew up with me. I would deliberately get out of speeches because I had a stutter. And back in middle school, I was at a new school, went up to give a speech, and I got like laughed at, I got mocked at a new school, and it was rough. But when I was graduating high school, you may ask, well, how did you get into door-to-door sales? Direct to consumer sales with a stutter. Why would he do that? What made him do that? So we'll go back to when I was 19, graduating. And like I said, I had a bunch of attention to play sports, and I didn't end up going to college. I was actually enrolled into Ohio University, not for sports, but just to go to school because I didn't know what to do with my life. And I remember realizing, because my dad and my parents told me they would help me out with student loans and whatnot, they told me that, but then I realized the loans would be taken out in my name. I'm gonna wait for this plane to go by. But I realized the loans would be taken out in my name, and that's when I literally on my own called Ohio University, canceled the loans, have this all in email, it's all documented, and said, how do I get rid of these loans? How do I cancel them before the deadline? I did it, canceled it, went to my parents, went to my dad particularly and said, Dad, canceled the loans, I'm not going to college anymore, I'm gonna get a job, I'm gonna work, I'm gonna become an entrepreneur. And at this time growing up in high school, I tried day trading. I bought drop shipping course, I think, or I tried to drop ship. I tried day trading. I even got I think my dad gave me $1,200 to use to day trade, and I lost it in one day. And he never gave me any money again to trade after that, let's just say that. But I've tried everything to get rich back then, and I was like, gosh, dang it, dude, I don't know what to do. And I decided to hit up a guy that ran a door-to-door solar company down in Tampa, Florida. I hit him up because he was making a ton of money, and I knew him from my childhood, and I was like, wow, this guy made it. I'm just gonna hit the guy up. I didn't know what he did. All I knew was he was making money. And my dad, basically, once I told my parents I'm not going to college anymore, my dad goes, okay, Anth, well, that means you need to start helping with expenses. You're not gonna live here for free and all this stuff. And I was like, fudge, okay, well, if I'm gonna have to pay for anything, I'm gonna get a job then. So I applied at a gym, Planet Fitness, the one that I literally go to right now. And at that time, I also hit up the guy that ran the door-to-door company down in Tampa. I didn't know it was a door-to-door company, but I knew he was making money. So I just hit the guy up, had an interview with him. He's like, we sell solar, like blah, blah, blah. We sell solar, come sell solar. This guy's making money. There's a bunch of 20-year-olds, cool guys. And it was. So I remember the day I had a Planet Fitness interview, I had another interview with the guy, with the manager that ran the door-to-door division down in Tampa. And did the interview, found out that I basically got the job. They were like, dude, you seem sharp. On the interview though, did not stutter at all. Fleeced them, because yeah, fleeced them. They're like, dude, this guy doesn't even have a stutter. Fleeced them totally. But I had a severe stutter, and it comes up when I'm overthinking and when I'm nervous. So did that. I got the interview, told my parents. They didn't take it the best. My dad was like, go for it. If you're gonna do it, now's the chance. You're 19, go for it. So long story short, I left everybody. I was so scared. I kind of knew that it was door to door, and my belief lid got blown when the owner of the company, Mo, told me, he said, "And the stutter is gonna be a blessing. It's gonna help you. It's going to allow homeowners to hear you out more, blah, blah, blah." And stuff like that. And I was like, well, maybe it will, but I was like, no way, this sucks. I have to talk to people to make money. I don't talk at all. So how am I gonna do this? And I went down to Tampa, drove 1,000 miles from Ohio to Tampa, Florida. So scared, I was crying. I had to say goodbye to everybody I knew, everybody who I loved, with $2,000 in the bank. And my dad, shout out dad, gave me his credit card that at the end of the day, I only spent like 2,200 bucks on it, but it gave me just enough boost to get out there. And I had that help at the beginning to start, because I had his credit card. And I was like, okay, I'll only use it when I need to. 2,200 was spent. And the owner of the company allowed me to stay in his apartment that he had for like 1 month when I got down there, like a month and a half, which all helped. And that's why having an opportunity that can help get you off your feet when you have no money and you're broke to start is very important. So I did that, went down there, stayed in that apartment. Whenever I needed food and I couldn't convince anyone to pay for my food or something like that, I would use my dad's credit card. There were times when I was doing stuff that, you know, isn't the most ethical in order to eat, if you know what I mean. So a lot of times was just go to Chipotle, go to Chick-fil-A, right before they closed or whatnot, and just eat. Let's just say that. So without paying. But so I did that. I was grinding, and it was super scary. I was super, super scared. I was worried for my life. I was like, dude, how am I gonna make it? And the owner of the company just told me, dude, don't be afraid to be homeless. Just go for it. You're not gonna go homeless, bro. You'll figure it out. Freaking plane right above me. We're taking a walk. Good old Ohio. So told me, you're gonna figure it out, Anth. Just go for the risk. You're 19. But at the same time, they always ingrained into me, Anth, you aren't a kid anymore. Lock in, you're not a kid anymore. Like, you gotta do this, right? So lock in. So I locked in, and I trained so meticulously and properly that there was no way I could fail. I literally told myself when I was down there, I would rather die than wave the white flag and come home. I would literally rather die than just go home and live a regular life, go back to college or go to college and suffer, you know, and just live a regular life, make 50 grand a year to start and just climb the ladder, be in debt. I would rather die. So I made it happen because I told myself I need to, or else everything would just end essentially. So basically, I was grinding, I was watching, I was studying. I spent about 2 weeks training, 3 weeks training, didn't knock any doors, just practiced, role played, studied the game, studied entrepreneurship, studied mindset, got rid of all the limiting beliefs in my mind, and continued on to the next level. Because in July of 2022, I was still 19 years old, just after graduating high school. Didn't really knock doors until August. Start of August, started knocking doors in solar, and first month, I was the top rep. I had a framework, I had a way of closing people, I had a way of introducing ideas and doing sales that most people don't do that works. It works regardless of a stutter. It works if you have no advantage. It works if you have negative advantage like I did. If I can do door-to-door sales and thrive at it with a stutter, any kind of sales, then anyone can do it. Because it's not about how the words come out or what advantage you start with or not. It's just the process, the system, the frameworks you have in conversation that lead to the deal, where you don't have to close anyone. It just happens through the process. And at the end, they're just like, okay, what's next? How do we proceed? I want your help. So that is a little bit of training right there. But top rep in August, or the end of August, if you are familiar with the solar industry, long install timelines, cancels happen, blah, 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 okay? So basically, August ends, start of the new month comes in. I, frankly, had to leave the owner of the company's apartment. Stutter activates. I had to leave his apartment because his lease was up. So now, homeboy is essentially homeless, couch surfing. I say, oh, fudge, where am I gonna stay? So I hit up the managers at the company, I hit up reps. I'm like, yo, you got a place to crash? Shout out Joel Ortiz for letting me stay at his crib. Shout out Matt Whitney for letting me stay at his crib on his air mattress in Jacksonville, Florida. Shout out those people, because without them, I would have been homeless. So just what I do, I ask people, can I stay at your house? Can I stay at your crib? Dogs everywhere, Rottweiler, freaking, I forget the Rottweiler's name, Goku or something, bro. He was like an anime character. Raku, it was Baku or something, bro. I don't know, but the dog was huge, it smelled, but I love the story about this. At the moment, I was so scared. I literally thought my life was over. I was like, dude, I'm homeless now, basically. I haven't gotten paid because none of these deals are getting installed, and what am I gonna do? So, but I just kept pushing, kept that job up until following year, March. So March, I worked that job till March, couch surfing, Airbnb-ing it up, staying all across the state of Florida, knocking doors. March comes, I still barely gotten paid. I was the top rep every month in the company. I won Rookie of the Year. Fact check the Instagram 2022, December, won Rookie of the Year there. Top rep in a company that exited private equity. So you'd think I'd be making a lot of money. No. By the end of the year, I made like 25 grand. I had 20 grand in the bank, 25 grand in the bank. I was expecting like 100 grand to come in because of installs. It never came because the installer we were using went under. Whew. There goes all my deals. There it goes. 100 grand, 50, I don't know how much it was. It was a lot of dough at 19 years old that just evaporated out of thin air. And from that time, I was like, okay, I'm out. Left solar, gone. Didn't want anything to do with it anymore because I had the skill now. I put 9 months in. We went from July to March as a door-to-door canvasser, door-to-door reps, setter. I was a setter going door-to-door, booking appointments for closers. And there's so many stories about that, about appointments that didn't close, like so many things I could talk about. There was just a period of time where it was 9 months basically of pure learning and pure grind, where 99% of people would have probably quit. They would have just given up because it was hard. But anyways, fast forward, I left the company, got hit up by a guy in my hometown back in Ohio that owned a roofing company door to door. So I worked there. And at this time, I had the skills from doing sales in a much harder market down in Tampa, Florida, in the state of Florida as a whole that gets a ton of door-to-door people that come knock their door daily. So you have to be good. You have to be sharp as a tack. And you have to have a process that if you stutter at the door in the first 10 seconds, like you're cooked, because they're just gonna say like, I'm not interested. Instantly, they open the door and say, oh, solar, they start scanning your shirt. They're like, solar, not interested, bye. So you'd think, holy crap, how do you do it with a stutter? I have a framework. I have a way of capturing attention. I have a process in sales that is unlike anybody else, hence why I was still able to get where I am. So now, we're in March, go back home, do door-to-door roofing. Storm hits, roofing company, we start ripping the doors. From March, well, it was like halfway through March, so from April 2023, I'm still 19 years old, turned 20 in May. From April to August, so like 3.5 months, 4 months. I worked there, crushed it, finally made money on my skills I developed. because installs happen, it's cash, it's checks in the roofing industry, it's fast money. It's not fast, but eventually it becomes fast because it's cash. So did that, and that's how important it is to have the right vehicle. I went through all the trial and error that was necessary to get to this point where I don't have to scour around to find the perfect industry. I know them now. So April to August, top rep, doing $500,000 months. Like, this stuff wasn't done before. The way I operate, like the top reps who were below me and previously at the company were doing $100K a month in roofing sales, and I was doing $300K to $500,000 a month in sales. It was just not normal. And everyone's like, what's the processes? What's the processes? So I spread the love, I teach them, everyone's stats go up, I elevate the team. But throughout that time of April to August, 19 to 20 years old, I cleared like 150 grand. And that was the richest I've ever felt in my entire life. I went from couch surfing, 20 grand in the bank in March. Bank account was just dwindling because expenses were high, Airbnb, boom, 150 grand, 130 grand in the bankaroo. I'm like, on top of the world, I'm 20 years old. I'm looking at my bank, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have to work for 3 years and I'm still good. Well, basically, once you start making that kind of money, the mind expands. The mind expands, and I wanted more, because then I started doing into the numbers. I started doing the research as to what does the owner of a roofing company make when I close deals. And I was like, holy crap, on these insurance claims, it could be 40, 50%, 30 to 50% margin. I was like, well, I got to get in this. I got to start my own company. Little did I know, I signed a non-compete, which I should have known, but I was like, it's worth the risk. So I go start my own. I tell the owner, like, I'm out. He finds out I started my own. I get a bunch of letters, attorney mail, all this stuff. They want to go to court, non-compete violated. So basically I had to hire an attorney, and just to start my business, I paid like darn near, I think it was almost 100 grand, which basically all the money I made is now gone. And now I have insurance and startup LLC costs and all these things that were just stacking up. I'm like, oh my gosh, so now we're back to like ground zero where I was in March, but now I'm gonna start my own thing. So I started my own thing in like the end of August of 2023. I was 20 years old in roofing, and by the end of that year, from August till the end of the year, I sold, because it gets cold in Ohio, so you can't really hit the doors. I sold about 800K, I think, that year. 800K. Yeah, 800K the business did, because I ended up by the end of that year with like 300 grand in the bank. And I was like, all right, we're back. We're back and bumping, but it was so scary. And I have to take myself back into my shoes at that time to how scary it actually was, because I didn't know that I was gonna go clear 800K. I started a brand new company. Homeowners were like, oh, how long you been in business? I looked you guys up. It says like 2 weeks, like all these things. You had to overcome these objections of you're new. You had no logo. The website looks AI generated. The website looks generic. There's no real photos, no real reviews. There's nothing, all this stuff. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm 20 years old at this time, you know? But I did it. So now I have 300K in the bank. And this is where it gets crazy. So 2024, start 2024, I go to the door-to-door conference just to get around the top producers in the door-to-door sales industry. And there's this award called a golden door, where in roofing, if you do $2.5 million in personal sales in a year, you get what's called a golden door. It's like the top 0.1% in whatever industry you're in. There's like pest control, roofing, solar, alarms, windows, and there's different numbers you hit. In roofing, it's $2.5 million to one. I remember looking at the stage, talking to people, just telling them stone cold, like blooded, bro, just looking people in the eye and saying, I'm gonna win a double golden door. Has it been done, Sam? It's the guy that runs door-to-door conference. I said, like, has it been done? He's like, only a couple times. In roofing, it's rare to sell a double golden door, just because of the fact it's $5 million in revenue. And in most states that have storms, you're only able to knock like 8 months out of the year. So you have to really push. If you do the math, 8 months, $5 million, you have to do about 500K, I think, in revenue every month, which is just uncanny. It's just unreal. But I look people, then people walking by me. That's another thing that happens when you do sales is you just will, there is no awkwardness socially. You will talk to people. There's no such thing as, like, you will ask people for things. You will get your way more. When I'm in the airport and I'm running late, I just walk up and say, hey, can I cut you? Like please, I'm about to be late for my flight. Instead of just taking it, bending over, not cutting the line, I go talk to people and we go get our way. So 2024, I set the goal, double golden door, $5 million in revenue. I set the target, okay? And I did whatever it took to hit that target. I started growing a team. I started posting on Instagram more, social media. I started knocking in February when it was cold. I was making sure I hit my target of $5 million because I knew that it only takes 1 year. It only takes, let's get this plane to chill out here, right? This walk, we're wrapping this up, okay? We're wrapping it up. But it only takes one big win to change everything. I've heard it from a bunch of mentors, a bunch of big entrepreneurs. It takes one big win and everything in your life changes forever. And I knew if I did $5 million, I'm walking away with $2 million if I sold it personally. And by May, I was at like 2 million. So at this point, I've made 800K by May. And when you're 20 and 21 years old, 800K is a lot of dough in the bank. But I wasn't even looking. I was so focused on hitting the golden door that the money I made was just whatever. I wasn't even really looking at it. And as I scaled my team, as I grew my team, as I had my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, Ellie, had her on the doors, booking me appointments so I can go in and close them. Because it got to the point to where if I went out and knocked doors, I'm going to book an appointment every time. So that's like too good that I need to be closing more. So I started to train people to book me appointments, go knock doors, book me appointments, I'd go close them. Because I was like, that's how I can scale and hit the double golden door, is I created processes and frameworks. And then when I got in the house, how I specifically closed people on purchasing a product. So, and these strategies apply to any industry. It's not just roofing. It could be high ticket sales. It can be coaching. It can be consulting. It can be anything. Like, it's just talking to people and guiding the person to a desired end result. But there's a specific way to do it where you get the person to convince themselves that it is the right decision. Like, you're not convincing because they convince themselves if you ask the right questions. But that's another video, another training. This is just the origin story. So it was May, 2 mil. Let's just say by the end of that year, long story short, we hit like 5.3 million, I think it was 5.3, like and a half million. So I hit the double golden door. I hit it, cleared $2 million that year, cash in the bank at 21. And that is when everything changed, is once you learn the skill of sales, you can then start off, like, just follow the path, follow the roadmap, learn the skill, spend 9 months spending your learning a skill, go work as a rep, learn the business so that you can then go start that business on your own, and bang, you make twice the money or triple the money as the business owner. There's a playbook that you just have to follow. So basically 5.3 mil, 2 mil collected. The business alone, because I had reps, did about almost 8 mil with a bunch of the reps too that I was also training, all the reps, all the closers I was training. So on top of that, I made even more that year. But the craziest month of them all was August 2024. It was our biggest month. After looking back, I didn't realize it in the moment, but in hindsight, looking back, $1.2 million entered my bank account that month, because it was going in, going out, with the expenses, commissions, and kept. But $1.2 million entered my bank account in a single month at 21. And I don't tell you this to brag, but I tell you it because you now know the story. You now know that you could start this with 0 advantages. When you have a process, when you have a framework, anything is possible. And it's not the most charismatic, the people that are naturally gifted. Like, you see these guys on Instagram that just look like gurus. They look like they have something that you can't obtain fast. And they have these traits that are very hard to get. And it's discouraging. But I'm here to tell you that you can do it. No matter what you believe, that belief lid is what you've placed on yourself. Any belief that inhibits you is one that you've created. So just uncreate it, go do, go take action. And you're literally just 2 to 3 bold decisions, bold choices away from changing everything. And it's crazy because it was extraordinary. Everyone told me I was crazy. You're going to do door-to-door at 19, you're couch surfing, the company you were working for went under, come home, get a stable job. I had people asking me after I was out there for 8 months, how much have you made so far? I said 25K. They'd laugh at me, say go to school. And now before they graduated high school, I bought my dream car. I made over $2.5 million profit, 12 million in revenue by the time I was 21 years old. And they're just now graduating college and are going to be wanting a job soon. Okay, so treat your time as a way to gain a skill, not as a way to just earn money. Once I started to change the outlook of how I operated as to how can I learn a skill that pays me an insane leverage on my time, that's when it changes everything. Because you go from a person with no skills, just raw, like me, I had nothing. Raw, no skills, to a person that is obtaining skills. Okay, then you have the skills, and then you're highly skilled. Then you're very highly skilled, and you're very good. And you train other people to do the thing that you're highly skilled at, and you help them make money. And the more people you help in sales, the more money you make. That's all sales is you're just helping people. It gets a bad rep, and I was always thought my parents are salesmen. I don't want to be a salesman. They don't make a lot of money. They're just in the wrong type of sales. But a salesman gets a bad reputation. They're just there to help people get to an end decision that actually helps them. If you're in an industry that's not helping them, then it's a scam. But if you're actually helping people, then what you're doing is the more you help people, the more money you make. And now, after scaling that, growing that, making all that money, I'm on a path, because it was, don't get me wrong, it was stressful. Like, making that much money at 21, having to invest it properly and put it away and store it here and strategize it there. If you want to make enough money to where it puts some hair on your chest and you get stressed, then I'm your guy. And that's what I'm doing now, is right now, I am taking the skills and the talents that I've obtained and pouring it into other people to get them to where I was, and helping train them and placing them in jobs so that they don't have to go through the pain, the risk, the craziness that I went through to actually get to where I am, of horrible industries and the companies going under and all these things. I'm just doing it how to get everyone fast-tracked within 90 days, earning 10, 20K a month and having the skills to be able to do that eternally. See, that's the thing, is you want financial stability. I wanted financial stability, but the truth is the only stability that you have and that I can have is my confidence in my ability to produce. And once you have a skill that you know no matter what you can go produce, you're secure. I can go knock this door right now and pitch them on something and make money. I can go get on a call and make money because I know how to get people to buy things. First of all, you have to know that the product you're doing actually helps people. Okay? And once you do that and you have an undeniable conviction and belief in what you're offering, you're unstoppable. Okay? So that's my story. I'm now 23. I own a house right down there. I bought my dream car and I sold it, bro, because I've transcended past the materialistic things. I bought a light blue Cepheus, however you say it, Lamborghini Huracan Spider with orange interior. Okay? I bought it, had it for a year, and I sold it. I've transcended past the materialistic needs of the world. Okay? And I'm now onto bigger and better things with how I allocate my time to actually help people, to serve others, to make sure that I can change their life like my life was changed through sales. Because I never thought I'd be here. I never did. I'm making this video just as an origin story because I never in my life thought I would be here in this way. I knew I would be rich, but I didn't think I'd do it through sales because of how bad my speech was and how bad my stutter was and how inhibited I felt I was my entire life. I never thought of it, and that is why I make the video, is to inspire those that have made it this far. If you made it this far, you have been inspired. There's no doubt that you have a limiting belief that has been crushed in this process, because if I can do it, after going through all the bull crap that I went through, having a stutter, crying in the bathroom, calling my girlfriend, telling her I want to give up, at 19, after doing an intro to the company that I was working for, then you could do anything. You could do anything that's possible, because now I'm here and I'm helping those around me make dough. It is now 2026. I'm training, I'm coaching, I'm consulting, I'm placing people into industries that are lucrative, and I'm not gonna stop. So if you like the video, subscribe, drop a subscription, because this is the origin story and you were here at the beginning as we blow this thing up and we drop more content as to how I sold these people and how I sell and the frameworks I use. So drop a sub and book a call in my calendar link below if you want some training, if you want some coaching, if you want some help taking your life to the next level. Because if you're like me and you're young and you're ambitious but you're lost and you don't know who to trust, I'm a guy that actually did it. I'm a guy that had the thoughts you've had at 19, at 20, when I was just getting started. I know what it's like to look the unknown in the eye and march right through it and become certain of my future. Hit the subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next video.